The main purpose of our operation was to go to the 3780.
This woman claims she has been to the year 3780. We sat down for an interview in an undisclosed location as she told us her story. She claims to have brought back actual technology from the future. Watch this and decide for yourself.
Hello everybody, my name is Clara. I cannot say from what country I am because it can cause serious problems for me. I want to talk about events which happened in 2000 here. I was serving in the army and my only goal was to build my own career. My story is related to traveling in time. It will seem to you that this is a fantasy, but I assure you that it's already a technology used for military researches nowadays. Perhaps it will be difficult now to realize what I'm talking about, but try to understand. Imagine that the time is a measurement, such as height, length, or depth. It is very simple. Let's imitate a situation. You are swimming in the sea at a depth of 2 meters. You can easily go deeper. This is the same thing that you can do with time if you have the appropriate equipment and knowledge. Simplicity. I can say only this word about time traveling. By my opinion, the working style of an airplane of internet browsing is more complicated than the voyage in time. But I want to emphasize that I'm talking about time traveling forward. I mean to the future. The difficulty is about past. As I know, and believe me, that my knowledge is huge about time travelings. Travelings to the past are much more difficult. Even more, it's impossible. Our army was unable to do that task, but there were many attempts and huge sums of money for it. Let me say that there was another problem of future travel. The maximum space in which we traveled, it was 2000 years, because of difficulty of coming back after. It was difficult to return a man from that space. Our army was traveling for a long time. The target was to disclosure and find new weapons and special techniques for military use, which would make our technical base of army the best in this planet. So, in 2000, I had my first time to travel in time. I should go to the future, to the 3780 year. As I was told, 4 of our squad have already been there, and only one of them had been able to return, because of the war between humans and robots. In difference to our robots, whose ability is to do some ordinary actions, such as making a coffee, those robots had an artificial intellect and were able to make decisions. So, robots understood that they could easily defeat people and started a war in which the winner would have the whole world. The name of our operation was Rat, because I had to get in a secret place like rats and bring what we were ordered to bring. That squad of that operation consisted from 4 people, 4 soldiers, had to travel to the future, one of whom was I. By the way, I was the only woman in the team. The main purpose of our operation was to go to the 3780 and bring some details of robots, parts with artificial intellect of them, as we were told to be able to prove to the whole world that this rapid tempo of robotics will put humanity in situation of elimination and mankind will be destroyed by robots. The name of the time machine was Isaac, dedicated to the name of the professor who created it. The Isaac was a time machine working on electricity. It was a collaboration of metallic chairs, human bodies, theories in physics of electricity and frequencies of time. This is how it was working. Man had to sit on the metallic chair, and with a lot of needles, the electricity was evolving to his or her body. Process of time traveling was being controlled by formulas. The time, as all measuring units, consists from formulas which can be controlled by it and you. Every year in time zone there is unique code of determination. For example, the code of our year where we should be traveled in was 56, capital B, small b, 001, small I. So the 3780 was equal to that code. Before our travel would start, they put a special belt. It was an equipment on our neck which was responsible for our safe return. When the limit of our existence in future would be over, that belt would stop serving electricity to our bodies, so we should be able to return back to the time zone we traveled from. So the time machine was switched on, and by all my body I felt how the small needles were put in it. I began felt an extremely high current of electricity filling my body. Imagine that you are hit by a flash of lightning, but not just once. You feel it constantly. It was indescribable pain and strange feelings, as if you leave your body and find yourself in a spiritual trip. Oh my God, only your soul is flying from your electrified body. In some seconds I had my head spinning. I felt my body out of control. Everything before me and before my eyes became black, and my conscience left me. After that I opened my eyes at once and find me appeared in a place reminding me more fantastic film than the reality. But it wasn't a kind film. Only ruins surrounded me, buildings in fire, people corpses, destroyed cars, burning strange gadgets in extraordinary pink flame. It was my first time there. And all in all, it was my first time travel. But there was a man in our squad. His name was David. He was that man, the only man remained from previous operation when we appeared there. David said us to follow him, as he had been already there and knew a safe place. In that place, we should meet people who still resisted the robots trying to survive. We were walking along ruins among distracted robots and corpses of human bodies. Every millisecond was full of scare, because every second robots could appear in front of us and resolve our destiny. Except our lives, the operation would be failed too. But David calmed me, saying that the road we were walking by, cameras were destroyed, and they couldn't determine and find us. After 30 minutes of our walking, we reached the forest. David led us through the forest and we appeared near the hole. David said that it was people's shelter. There were knots filling down the hole. We went down the hole and everything we saw made us absolutely speechless, and we were shocked. Thousands of dead people and approximately 60 or 80 robots. That meant that after David's last visit to that shelter, there was at least one battle between hiding humans and robots. And as we could see, they lost that struggle and were destroyed by machines. I came up to one of the robots, and you can't even imagine what kind of feeling was that. I was looking at that damaged robot, which was made entirely from metal, but the face was covered with something reminding me silicon. It seems to me I was looking at the human as if it had curves and lines like an ordinary face. David told me that all faces of those machines were different and each of them was unique and special for itself. They thought it the same way as people could. Imagine a human who entirely covered by metal and has an endless possibility. Imagine such kind of people. Try to imagine. Those people didn't want to conquer the whole world, did they? First I thought that operation would be primitive and simple, as if we decided just to open one of the robot's head and took the scheme of artificial intellect out of it. We had to take it and return to 2000 year, but it was clear I was wrong, as if it was impossible. The robot destroyed that scheme which was responsible for their artificial intellect after having a serious damage for it not to appear in humans' hands. That self-destructing process was made by software located in the part of chest, and the only way to take that scheme without destroying that scheme was to cut robot's head before killing. In that case, it couldn't have time to destruct the part responsible for artificial intellect. We left that place in order to find people which should be alive. As if David told when he was there in 3780 year, he heard that 80 kilometers to the north from that place was located a camp of people. That people which also were alive after the war between robots and them. On our way to that village, we noticed a group of men collecting plants. When they saw us, they were frightened and began running from us. We told them about our mission and where we came from. They led us to their hiding place. That was a cave surrounded by thousands of huge trees. Inside were about 100 people. Their leader came up to us, whose name was John. John told us about everything, how the war began, what events had happened. In a word, he told us everything. They were armed without extraordinary weapons, as if it was clear that it was laser war. And it was the only equipment which was remained at people. As the whole techniques was under the control of artificial intellect, David asked John what happened with the first shelter we were in, and said that we were there and saw everything. The plenty of corpses and ruined robots. John explained that robots had found that place and killed everybody. We told the main reason of our mission and that we should bring back to our time the example of artificial intellect. We also told him that we found out the way of reaching to target of our operation. During our conversation, we explained if we could do it, such kind of future wouldn't be. John said that he could help us in that question, to tell the place where would be a robot without damages. But as if it was night, John suggested us to stay at their place, because if you went out at night, the chance to be alive would be minimal. That night I couldn't sleep. I had been in military reserve for many years. I was involved in a lot of operations and saw enough wars to lose my scare and to look at everything happened in a calm way. But no war could be so horrible as this one. It is the most terrible thing that can be with humanity during its whole history. People with their hands made creatures which destroy themselves, and creatures which are higher than people. Their memory is above ours, because we possess our information as a part of our brain, but they have something like a hard disk where they upload the information to get from the world. They know everything. Speaking about their power, I can describe it. They are really the killer of man, but they have one thing which is similar to us. Both of us are afraid of death. So John gave us the coordination in the morning. They should lead us to the next shelter called Alpha. He also gave us laser weapons because the robots were very dangerous and we should have weapons with us to be protected. 4 people were with us from John's squad. They should lead us to that place. Alpha was the most powerful and biggest hiding place of human. It was built in a bunker to keep people safe during atomic war. About 4 hours we were walking to Alpha. In our way, we met a robot, and our war started with it. During shooting, that robot was killing people of our squad one by one. At last, only 3 people remained alive. David, the guy leading us, and me. Can you imagine that just one robot caused the death of 5 people? It was armed very hard, and his armor was very hard to destruct. So in an hour we reached Alpha. We were invited in, and we met Jack, who founded that bunker and was the leader of Alpha. There were approximately 4,000 people. We told everything to Jack, and he led us to the room where 6 robots were pinned on the wall. Their heads were injured. Jack said that it was because they destroyed that gadget, which stood for connection with the center. All robots had some damages. It was the low level of robots. They were the scouts. Those robots were captured when they were finding people's shelters. To catch such kind of robots, they used a team of 150 or 200 people. Jack's people tried to program those robots to make them to be with people, but they always failed. It was impossible because there was no way to clear their memory. Jack's people took one of the robots to one room, cut its head, and gave us the scheme of artificial intellect, the robot's brain. David took the scheme and put it in his bag. Suddenly, Jack came up to me, and we went to any separate room for talking. I will tell about our conversation at the end of the story, okay? So we decided to return to 2000 year. Now I'll describe the process of our returning. As you remember, I told you about belts on our necks, which were responsible for our coming back. So we switched on the gadgets and appeared those in our time zone to 2000 year. We were met with great happiness as our commanders told us only one thing: no return without the scheme. David gave the scheme to the professor, which was the creator of the mission. Everyone was so happy and excited, and even didn't ask about our 2 friends, the soldiers which were died during the mission. At that time I felt myself very sad, because I understood that nobody would ask about me if I didn't come back. I was just a tool which they used in such kind of operation to reach their target. We were told it would prove that artificial intellect is a pure danger for the mankind. Now you can ask me a reasonable question. Where are those proofs? Because 18 years had been already passed, and nobody of us heard about it. As I think that scheme was used for mankind some dangerous weapons. Now let me say what told me Jack about when we were alone. He knew that people wouldn't use that scheme in right way, and that was the reason that he gave me the second one, which I would give to a person who would examine. Yes, he would examine it and do everything to save our world from apocalypse. Here is the scheme. This is the day, and I have been waiting for 18 years. 18 years I have been waiting for chiefs to lose my pass. After that mission, I left military reserve and lived in 6 different countries. 2 weeks ago, I spoke to the scientists, which name I have to keep in secret. Yes, you know, I must keep them in secret. And can't say which country he is from. At the end of this month, I will meet him to give the scheme for the examination. I will connect with the Apex TV and share the first information I will have. Thank you so much for attention. I wish you all the best. Follow Apex TV for further information.
What do you think? Is this woman an actual time traveler who's been to the year 3780? We'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. We at Apex TV have so much planned going forward. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our upcoming livestream in which we interview multiple time travelers at the same time. Also, join our Discord live chat by going to the link in the description. There's a few supposed time travelers who are there answering questions. Here's a quick recap of what's coming soon. We were sent a video from a man claiming to have been involved in a top-secret time travel mission that had to do with the Mandela effect. Alexander Smith claims to have an actual picture from the year 2118. Also, we were contacted by a supposed time traveler who has actual music from the future. All these videos and more are coming soon, so don't forget to subscribe and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.